Good evening. Welcome
to Have I
Got News
for You.
I'm Alexander Armstrong.
I'm Jennifer Saunders.
I'm Jack Dee.
I'm Martin Clunes.
I'm Victoria Coren Mitchell.
I'm Rennie Zellweger. In Tokyo, after scientists feed their state-of-the-art robot a prawn vindaloo, he's keen to find out where the nearest facilities are.
In Kent, some UKIP supporters are hypnotised and told to kill the Prime Minister.
And after a long day, having heard so much about the Manchester rave scene, one man prepares to go clubbing for the very first time.
Oh, yes, this is New Zealand. This is the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And... Oh... Is that the new baby? It is, I think.
The future King George.
Future King George.
Yeah.
And there's a piece in the paper how much he looked like his father. So he's...
Good news for the royal family.
Good news for the royal family. It's nice, isn't it? It's good. It's good.
What the prince picked up was, in fact, a poisoned dart. Is that right? Or
Oh,
not?
I don't know.
But it's part of a ritual to prove that he's friend rather than foe.
I think that's right. And he had to maintain eye contact throughout.
Yes, and
although
not...
those tattooed buttocks might have been a bit of a distraction, I'm not sure.
Were they distracting for you, Nigel?
No, well, not personally. We are, Ian... As you know, we're a very liberal-minded party.
Absolutely. I was going to suggest there's a gym nearby.
Yes, this is the visit of Wills and Kate to New Zealand.
Yeah.
How did they begin their visit?
They got off a plane.
Is the right answer.
Local knowledge helped there.
What did Prince George do for the first time in New Zealand?
He waved. Yep, he's picked it up, which is 90% of the job, so...
Meanwhile, in royal news back home, what's going on here?
Oh, yes, this is the first visit to Britain by an Irish president, Michael Higgins. I mean, he is a funny little fella, there's no two ways about it. I mean, my Irish cousins say the same, so I'm trying not to be impolite.
Who did he bring with him?
McGuinness.
Martin McGuinness.
Yeah.
What did the Queen wear to mark this occasion?
Balaclava. With the crown on top. Make him feel at ease, you know. Break the tension a little bit. Oh, it's me!
Would you like to see what Prince William's been doing?
Yes.
William went to an aircraft factory where he revealed his passion for flying, despite having left the RAF.
Well, he's the best sleeper they've ever had.
Finally, would you like to see Prince Charles admiring a bust?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that made out of butter or sponge, or is it actually stone?
No, I think that's Camilla.
Future Prime Minister?
Where? Oh, her, yeah.
This is Ed Miliband advertising for a media person, which is what normal politicians sometimes do.
But his critics, and you know, I'm just being devil's advocate here, are saying he's a bit desperate advertising for someone to help with his broadcasting image now.
Clearly, it's important that the government's not creating jobs. We should create one ourselves.
So that's one.
Whoever gets the job with Ed will also be overseeing all visual images. Basically, it's to stop pictures appearing of him looking stupid, like these.
That's to get the Mexican vote. And,
There's a photo that could be improved by the presence of a kestrel.
Undoubtedly.
Maybe there was a kestrel and they painted it out.
People keep looking at the kestrel.
Yeah, that was probably a row of birds of prey all along the arm.
Maybe it's because
All wearing a little T-shirt with a letter on it, "Don't vote UKIP."
Ed did an odd thing on television the other day. He appeared to sniff the woman sitting next to him.
Because I would love to see you back in power, but what I would love you to do is to take risks.
Your leadership challenge, obviously, has been a massive headache for him.
I don't think you've actually mounted a leadership challenge yet, have you?
It's an incredibly subtle, low-key leadership challenge is what it is.
I believe it started... Someone saw me eating a bacon sandwich and thought, you can do that really well. It doesn't really... It doesn't matter about anything else. That will get us the...
The Times interviewed celebrity hairdresser Charlotte Cave, who cuts Ed Miliband's hair. Her description, really nice, quite soft and very thick. As for his hair, we have no idea.
This is a new contraceptive that's been released. Keep the hand down, mein Führer. Mein Führer, mein Führer!
UKIP attracts some lively characters. The guy who said that women were the people who just cleaned up or ought to clean up behind the fridge actually left UKIP this week. On the grounds it was too politically correct.
Godfrey Bloom.
And where would it go then?
Top Gear.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Nigel Farage or UKIP, even though they are implementing Otto von Bismarck's policy of isolating Britain, but...
David Cameron was very rude about your people, wasn't he, Nigel?
Oh, he always is.
Yes, he said...
He can't help himself.
He can't help himself. He said
No,
they were all fruitcakes and loonies. I think it's time for a game of fruitcake or loony. OK, everyone, fingers on your buzzers. I'll show you some UKIP party members. You have to buzz in and tell me whether they're a fruitcake or a loony.
I don't know who he is.
Ian.
Fruitcake.
I'm afraid that's the wrong answer. He's a loony. He's a would-be UKIP councillor and loony John Sullivan, who wrote, "Regular physical exercise releases boys' tensions and thus avoided homosexuality." Which is quite right, Mr Sullivan, and that's why you'll never see a gay man down the gym.
Look, what David Cameron believes in and Nigel Farage believe in are basically the same things. I mean, what should happen? They should be put into...
You just lost Cameron all the votes.
in regard to
Can we have the referendum again? Because I want to get out. I really do.
Who was the darling of the Tory conference this year?
Theresa May?
They like the look of her. And then there's Boris, so there's the choice. Who would you go for? If you stay in the Tory party, that is.
Well, I mean, the Prime Minister is going nowhere. And
that is true.
And he...
Freedom of movement thing. Generally, people are not. They haven't thought it through as regards Strictly Come Dancing.
I know you're allowed to actually move if you're in the country.
But so many of the dancers, Aliona, Aliaz, Pasha, all the good ones, they're all from abroad.
Yeah.
If we have restriction of movement, the only dancer left will be Anton du Beke. Is that what you want?
So there'd be no more Strictly if this went
Ian.
through.
Oh, I can see your eyes gleaming.
Do you not love Strictly, Ian?
Love it. Love Strictly, love Bake Off, love X Factor.
Anyone here remember Nick Clegg? What's he hoping to do between now and 2020?
Form another coalition.
Quite right, yeah. He told the Sunday Times magazine that he wants to stay as Deputy Prime Minister until 2020, forming a second coalition with either Labour or the Conservatives. He's got principles, that guy. That's what I like.
This is Nigel Farage, who failed to turn up for a UKIP event in Croydon. Nigel Farage didn't turn up at the UKIP rally in South London, where there were ugly scenes. Now, that's either a protester in Croydon or his driver at Gatwick waiting to pick him up.
Oh, Well, this is Gulf War 3. There we are. That's our entire Air Force. And that's the opposition.
I thought those two pilots were mooning. Weren't they?
Yes, We're intervening again, and there was a vote in the House of Commons.
And what are we supposed to call the baddies in this conflict?
ISIL, ISIS, IS, the Caliphate, some lunatics.
How come nobody noticed what ISIS were up to over the summer?
World Cup.
It's a pretty good answer. Where do ISIS get their money from?
The co-op. It's a real scandal.
Is it from ISIS?
Very good. Apparently they get their money from captured Iraqi oil wells and banks, but it's also alleged they are heavily funded by the Saudis. Now, why would the Saudis be funding IS?
Because they're Sunnis, and they've been exporting extremism and terrorism throughout the region. Allegedly. Well, I don't know why you said that. They have been.
I was just going to say that also by funding Islamic fundamentalism, it pays off the guilt they feel for their lives of luxury. A bit like Jimmy Savile's charity work.
Oh, come on! Grow up!
Dear sir, we represent the Saudis. Suggestion we're in any way like Mr. James Saft. Appalling slur. Client's reputation. I've received a few of those letters, you can tell.
Producers of Downton Abbey denied that they killed off the Earl of Grantham's favourite dog simply because it was called Isis. However, they did admit that things weren't looking good for the family's pet parrot, Boko Haram.
Oscar Pistorius, he won't be doing that for a while because he's been sent to jail for 5 years, but could be out inside in 10 months. The defence say we should feel sorry for him because he's recently lost his girlfriend, but that didn't seem to really play with most people. Pretty outrageously small sentence for such an atrocious crime.
What was he actually convicted of?
Culpable homicide.
Yeah, they call it culpable homicide, but according to legal experts, it could so nearly have been dolus eventualis, which I think is benefit fraud.
When I was a girl, like, find a rich man, don't. If he gets tired of you, he'll pay a good lawyer and get off. Kill you for it. Right? I teach my little girl, you find a poor black man in America, because they get blamed for stuff they didn't even do. Right? I want a man who knows he has to protect her, because if she goes missing, he's going down no matter what. Is that too much to ask? As a parent?
According to the Daily Mirror, Oscar Pistorius has been sent to a prison in Pretoria where gang rape and violence are rife. You have to be particularly careful in the showers, because Oscar Pistorius might shoot you through the door.
Someone being given the bill. Getting a bit of a shock.
It's David Cameron getting a massive bill when he went to Europe for not turning his data roaming off.
1.7 billion, it's a lot, isn't it? No, he got a shock, because although we know the Prime Minister's absolutely on top of all the detail, no one had told him that he was due to get a £1.7 billion bill, so he had a bit of a fit.
It feels a little bit like the EU are doing that thing when you go out with someone and they want you to dump them. So they just start behaving really badly and asking for things that are going to annoy you.
One of the complaints is that they've been measuring our GDP in a way that includes drugs and prostitution.
Yeah.
That's why Italy's GDP is so low, because once you factor out Berlusconi, there's...
So this is David Cameron being hit with a £1.7 billion bill from the EU. Britain's EU bill is bigger this year because our GDP has increased. For the first time, the calculations have included £5.3 billion on prostitutes and £4.4 billion on illegal drugs. So, once again, it's all the bankers' fault.
That's Sepp Blatter. Picking his nose. FIFA, has been pointed out, are either totally corrupt or completely incompetent in granting the World Cup to Qatar in the year 2022 at a time of the year when it's impossible to run around because it's 45 degrees centigrade.
It does make sense if you accept that there was a huge number of bribes
Yes.
paid to FIFA officials by the
That's the
Qataris.
only way you could make that decision.
But,
because-
but let me point out to you that the head of the ethics committee on FIFA, who's a good friend of Sepp Blatter, did a report, a completely independent report, and it found that there was absolutely no corruption whatsoever for Qatar or for Russia.
I mean, why would anyone believe the Russians could be corrupt? But why didn't they cooperate with the FIFA inquiry?
Because they destroyed all their records by accident. As you do when someone says, I'm conducting an investigation.
It was simply that the Russians were unable to provide more than a few documents from the bidding process because the computers they used during their bid had been leased, they were returned and subsequently destroyed by their original.
We must bid for the World Cup. First, we must rent some computers.
Qatari Mohammed bin Hammam undoubtedly paid money to a delegate from Tahiti specifically to vote for the Qatari bid, but why have FIFA dismissed this as irrelevant?
But they said he wasn't acting on behalf of the Qataris. Despite being Qatari, and described by the Qataris as their greatest asset in our bid for the World Cup, he was not acting for them. Thank goodness FIFA sorted that one out.
Right. They said this was only one vote out of the 13 required and therefore could not have been significant. If the ballot papers of 1/13 of the British electorate were forged, that wouldn't be relevant because it couldn't affect the result.
No.
I mean, it's not funny, but these people are arseholes. These are allegations of corruption in the World Cup bidding process. Prince William's involvement in the affair was questioned by the Daily Mail, who demanded to know, why was Wills dragged into corrupt England bid? A very good question, as presumably Prince Andrew would have volunteered like a shot.
Oh, yes, that's Gary Barlow, a long time ago. This is about tax, isn't it? He's had to pay tax which he hadn't paid before. That's his accountant, by the look of it. Yes, it's about Gary Barlow. What's the polite way of putting it? Not paying tax.
Absolutely. Along with Gary Barlow, anybody else related
Other people
to...
in Take That, there were.
Indeed, not all of them.
No.
Mark Owen and Howard Donald.
Yes.
Jason Orange didn't.
Oh, I'm glad, because he was
Yes.
the one I liked.
Yeah, well, they're good. Ian, you're quite intelligent. How does the scheme work? Do you know?
It's very, very complex. You decide you're very rich and you don't want to pay any tax, and then you decide not to.
David Cameron in PMQs cleverly used some Take That lyrics when asked about Gary Barlow. We want your money back for good.
The trouble about...
Which is always a bit Vicar in Trainers, isn't it, when an MP quotes a pop song? It's a bit like, oh,
Well,
Dad, stop it, it's so embarrassing.
Do you know that song, Back for Good?
No. Yes.
No. Yeah, well, you know
Whenever
it.
I'm wrong, just tell me the song and I'll sing it.
Yes.
It continues. Thank you. That women at the back there that couldn't get into Graham Norton this evening.
Hardly a unique experience.
This is the row over Gary Barlow, which has confirmed his status as a national treasure thief. According to The Telegraph, for Take That to pay off their tax bill, the band are now considering a world tour. Well, I say world tour, it's 14 nights at the Cayman Islands Arena.
As new technology improves the safety of children online, there's evidence that some internet predators are going back to more traditional methods.
A Newsnight special exposes the appalling sweatshop conditions for workers in a Taiwanese walnut whip factory.
Some viewers are starting to notice a slight change in tone since Jeremy Paxman left Newsnight.
And there are one or two teething problems with the newly designed uniform for Switzerland's elite armed response unit.
And so to round two, and it's a welcome return of the Have I Got News for You Wheel of News.
Yeah.
And here's the first spin.
George Clooney's getting married.
George Clooney is getting
and that's
married.
become a news item on this show.
How does the world's media think that they may know this?
They went out for dinner
Yeah.
in LA, I think, with a couple of other celebrities.
You're not confusing this with Ocean's 11, are you?
A reporter was there, and they went, "Oh, look at her ring and whatnot."
Ring, yeah.
But it's an amazing ring, because it produces coffee. He has been married before.
I think the first marriage was dark, it was bitter, it was
Yeah.
over in an instant.
Yeah. Which new programme went to town with a story? Which new programme?
Is this Good Morning Britain?
It landed with disappointing ratings, didn't it?
Because they paid a lot of money for Susanna Reid to present it.
Yes.
And people moaned that she was sitting behind a desk and they couldn't see her legs.
That's like they
and
did.
there were viewers were saying it's like buying a Ferrari and keeping it in the garage. Who are these people who can't sit through television for 10 minutes without trying to break into a wank? What's wrong with them?
TV legend Andy Peters, he gets to host a mini format within the show called Wheel of Cash.
Wheel of Cash?
Wheel of Cash.
Andy Peters was the broom cupboard, wasn't he? Wasn't he Ed the Duck?
In, I don't know, was he?
Yeah.
In the broom
Yeah,
cupboard.
yeah.
He was in the broom cupboard, remember?
Yeah.
Not a safe place to be in the BBC in the 1980s.
This is a story about a commuter on a rail line, actually very near me, who comes up from Stonegate. And he came up with the wheeze of avoiding paying his ticket, and when he got to London, he just put his Oyster card and tapped it and then left. So instead of paying, it was £45,000 over 5 years, he paid sort of 4. And he was caught. And there's been a big scandal locally with everyone trying to work out who it is. Because he paid the money back so he could become anonymous, despite breaking the law. And it's in Stonegate, so it's known as Stonegate Gate.
By being allowed to settle out of court, he did by a level of anonymity normally reserved for winners of The Voice.
Are there no ticket inspectors on this line?
You can... It's a very, very remote station, so you can slip in under the barrier, I understand.
This is Britain's biggest fare dodger. Some angry passengers thought the fare dodger deserved a greater punishment, presumably by being forced to take a replacement bus service. Others were more lenient and thought he should be killed. OK, fingers on buzzer strings.
This was a sign that was put up in an examination hall, and it said no cheating, you know, just been telling people, you know, don't cheat just in the exam. But the formulae written on the hand is actually genuine stuff. And so they were able to look at the poster and answer some of the mathematical questions based on what was written on the poster. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. Yes, this is the news that Plymouth University has had to take down anti-cheating posters as they were helping students to cheat. In other mistake news, why have Google been suffering from rogue anuses?
Oh, yes. There's a computer programme which misreads old print, so arms comes out as anus, so farewell to anus. I drape my anus across her shoulder in a comforting manner. This is what's happening.
The scanning technology they use to turn books into e-books can't differentiate between arms and anus in certain typefaces. Yeah. In the complete works of Washington Irving, there is a reference to the great captain who had been one of his comrades in anus. Burn and bum get muddled up as well, as in a patent for a carrier for an integrated circuit that talks of bum-in electrical contacts.
God, Scotland, what happens? It's bums night.
Where they all join anuses and sing Old Lang
Paul, and Janet.
Yes, this I only saw vaguely as a headline, but a man is walking again who was paralysed and have taken something out of his nose.
They've grown nerves in his nose and planted them
in his spine.
In his spine and joined the nerve endings together that were severed.
It is absolutely the good news story of the week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Derek Fadika, a paralysed man, has been able to walk again. What has Mr. Fadika been doing to celebrate walking again?
Walking, yes.
He's learnt to drive. Lazy git's just got his legs back. Elsewhere, why has a darts team from Cornwall been in the news?
The blind darts team?
They are Britain's first blind darts team.
Yes. They use a bit of string or something to get where the board is.
Do you know what they're called? They're called the Optimists.
The Optimists.
I genuinely think this is the other good news story of the week. This is absolutely brilliant. It's a blind darts team. As you say, Paul, they guide their darts with a piece of string attached to the bullseye that helps them feel where the board is.
For a hedgehog, you get 400,000.
The Optimists have entered a competition with 14 other teams. Why might they be the underdogs?
Well, they can't see.
And all the other teams can, that's absolutely right.
Who's responsible for saying what the score is? Because they go, like, missed again, sorry. That one went out the window. Oh, you hit the Labrador that time.
Finally, why has the Superman of Macclesfield been in the news?
A man has been seen flying above Macclesfield in a Superman costume?
Sort of, yes.
Sort of, yes?
Yes. Pilots on a plane were left stunned when a flying man zipped past their aircraft at 3,500 feet outside Macclesfield. Nobody can explain it. The pilots thought it must have been a paraglider, but they couldn't see a canopy. The mystery deepened when there was no sign of him on radar. It seems like one of those mysteries that will never be solved, although The Sun hasn't given up on its investigation. Yes, this is the pioneering surgery which has enabled a paralysed fireman from Poland to walk again. This is a good news story for everyone, except the Daily Mail, which presumably went with the headline, Polish disability benefit cheat pictured walking.
Oh.
Is this Richard III?
Yeah.
They dug him up and now they're burying him again.
Yeah. They found him under a car park, didn't they?
Under the letter R.
It's an incredible story. Philippa Langley had an odd feeling that Richard III might be buried in a car park in Leicester.
But people have had so much fun looking for him. Why don't they hide him again?
Yeah.
And in 100 years' time, but hang on, I was in Lidl, I saw this R on the floor.
It doesn't seem to be a recent story. They found his remains and they're going to bury him somewhere.
Oh, the story is
Yes.
that they think that it shouldn't be done with pomp and ceremony.
Should he have a state funeral? You know,
No.
It's either him or Blair.
Chuck them in together. Why wait till he dies?
Why does this cortege and lying in state worry some people?
He's dead. Why are they taking him places? I don't understand that. Wave, look, remember, Richard? Do you remember the battle? What's happening?
Of course, this bypass wasn't here then, because that was built in 1957. Taking the Euro Disney, you haven't seen any of that. You'd have to tell him who Mickey Mouse was, but he'd get into it, wouldn't he? And that's Goofy. He reminds me of the Duke of Norfolk. Yeah, just carry on.
Richard III died in 1485. Historians point out that it's the most delayed funeral ever for a British monarch. Prince Charles doesn't agree.
This is the guy who's in charge of North Korea. He's disappeared, hasn't he? As hard as that to believe, looking at that picture. But he has...
Why has he?
Well, they think that he's quite overweight and he may be in poor health. This was taken shortly before he perched himself at the end of the conveyor belt with his mouth open.
This is the news that Kim Jong-un is not well, bringing back memories of his father, Kim Jong-il.
It's cheese, though.
Yes, well done.
Cheese.
It's cheese.
Yes. You Kim watchers have decided he's eating too much cheese.
What is the great scandal about British cheese, according to the Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, Liz Truss?
I don't think we're going to be allowed to eat cheese anymore.
Well, let's have a look at what Liz Truss had to say.
Yeah.
We import 2/3 of our cheese.
That is a disgrace.
Yeah, weird. And if you're wondering what Liz Truss is up to in December, let's have a look.
In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new pork markets.
She likes to enjoy herself on holiday, doesn't she?
Time now for the odd one out round. Marcus Trescothick, the Queen, Chris the Rhea, and Conchita Wurst.
Well, Marcus Trescothick is a very distinguished Somerset cricketer, but I don't really see how that relates to anything else, unfortunately.
Have three of them been shot down by veterinaries aimed with rifles? They practice with umbrella stands.
The bird escaped.
The bird escaped.
It
They
did
had to shoot
escape.
it. And they actually shot it.
They did in the end.
Yes,
They
and it's
couldn't
been
catch it.
turned into sausages.
Ta-da!
Wurst means
Trescothick
sausage.
was known as Banger. The thing was turned into a sausage. Wurst is sausage, so Her Majesty, nobody dare call Her Majesty anything so rude, is not the... Yes, but I don't wish to call Her Majesty odd. That seems a bit... Her Majesty is not in line with the other three on this occasion.
What is that she's holding? It looks like a sort of baseball bat shaped.
Yeah.
She looks as if she could return that ball anyway. If it was
Is she being called Sausage by the Duke of Edinburgh? Is it a pet name? I think it is.
It is.
Oh, Sausage.
Is there any reasons why?
Perhaps he likes stabbing her with a fork sometimes.
It's a term of affection based on the fact that her ancestry is German. It was a sort of Wurst joke. He calls her Conchita Sausage.
Does she call him kebab?
Is it they're all called sausage, except one who's been turned into sausage?
Correct. As you said, Chris, the runaway Rhea was finally found. Hurrah! Shot in the head. Boo! Turned into sausages. Hurrah! Has anyone ever enjoyed a Rhea sausage?
Does it count if you're on holiday?
Now, as far as Conchita Wurst is concerned, when the judges' votes were taken out of the equation, the public preferred the Polish entry.
Charming entry.
Must have been a really, really good song. Let's see why it was so popular, shall we?
A lot of Poles living in the country who probably voted for the Polish entry, don't you?
Do you think so? I think there's a lot of lorry drivers and all. They are all affectionately known by sausage-based names, apart from Chris the Rhea, who's been shot and turned into sausages. The Russians organised a petition condemning Conchita Wurst, claiming her performance would turn Eurovision into a hotbed of sodomy. I think that ship's already sailed.
Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk, Napoleon, Jimmy Carter and Paul Daniels.
Daniels was bitten by a rabbit this week.
Was he?
Yeah. Is it rabbits?
Warm.
Oh.
Warm.
All right, then. Now, I've got a vague memory of Jimmy Carter having an incident with a rabbit.
What sort of incident can you... Was it sort of they met in a bar or out hunting somewhere? Or...
I don't know.
Napoleon, there was all those famous Napoleon rabbit stories.
Is it that they've all killed a rabbit except for Paul Daniels, who was bitten by a rabbit?
No. So close.
They have all bitten rabbits, but Paul Daniels is the only one that's been bitten by a rabbit.
You sort of had it. I think you should have the point. They've all been attacked by rabbits.
Yeah.
Apart from new Ukrainian PM Arseniy Yatsenyuk, who has been attacked for looking like one. He's supposed to look like the rabbit in the Russian version of Winnie the Pooh, and here they are side by side.
The Russian version of Winnie the Pooh. When did this happen?
Yeah.
Paul Daniels, the magician, he had to have a tetanus jab after one of his stage rabbits bit his finger. Paul tried to intervene to stop the animal getting frisky, with his fellow performers.
Well, the other rabbits.
No, Debbie McGee.
Oh, no. It's one of those awful ménage à trois things, isn't it? But where there's...
Well, it starts off with ménage à trois, and then within 10 minutes there's hundreds of them.
Careful, we might be being bugged. One off the cuff.
Yeah. It certainly wasn't off the script, was it? This is the best round we've ever had.
What can Paul Daniels say in 4 languages?
There are no refunds. In 4 languages.
Jimmy Carter. Let's get to Jimmy Carter.
Can I just say I went to see him in Panto once?
Jimmy Carter in Panto? You really do go to posh Pantos, don't you?
Jimmy Carter. He was very good.
Who was playing the Dame,
buttons.
Queen Mother?
Yeah, and he bought the beans. No, I went to see... I paid my money to see Paul Daniels and Debbie McGee in The Sheriff of Nottingham. He was the Sheriff of Nottingham. She was someone or other, Maid Marian, I think. And it was very, very long, the Panto, and he did almost no tricks at all, but she sang a lot of songs. She kept coming on and singing another song and then another one. And then just after the middle of the second half, a woman behind me stood up and shouted, "Oh, God, not another one."
We want Jimmy Carter!
Jimmy Carter rabbit incident. It occurred in '79, that's right, and he was, then President Carter, he was fishing, and a rabbit reportedly attacked him in his boat.
That's when he knew he wasn't the luckiest president of the United States.
It's not the first time a rabbit's been involved in an attack on a US president. Let's not forget Lee Harvey Oswald.
What?
That's really terrible.
That film came out in 1952.
I don't mean to be picky, but Harvey wasn't a real rabbit.
No, he was, no.
I like the joke. I like the joke. I like the
Who
idea
likes
of
the
Harvey
joke?
Killing.
Who doesn't like the joke?
Who in the audience would just make a random noise if you were asked to? That's the most popular one of all.
Oh, we're going to have to get the writers out the pub.
If they were paid more, they wouldn't have to work as bar staff.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Chippy Chat, the magazine of the chip shop industry. A publication that always insists on 2 sources for every story. We start with Elvis Presley to play what?
Elvis Presley to play Cardiff City in the 4th round of the FA Cup.
Elvis Presley to play Chippy Chat Christmas Ball.
Next, what blamed for rise in sexually transmitted diseases among over 50s?
Is it Wayne Rooney?
The answer is 50 Shades Effect.
Next, Birmingham is the world's what?
Worst seaside resort.
Yeah. It's conscience.
Oh, yeah.
The answer is sluttiest city. This is according to Miley Cyrus.
Next, scientists hunt for what in Yorkshire?
Optimism.
UKIP voters, it could be, couldn't it? You know. Close. Scientists hunt for Martians in Yorkshire.
Next, competition winner Steve Wadsworth names leisure centre in Selby what?
Selby Leisure Centre.
Correct.
Next, what themed bar to welcome England fans during World Cup?
Alcohol. Cirrhosis of the liver.
It's actually a Bin Laden themed bar to welcome England fans during World Cup. Here he is there. This is the chap. He's a lookalike.
Is that real?
It was real about the bar, yes. It's the whole bar is themed around Bin Laden.
What, and his consumption of alcohol?
Yeah.
Yes. Famously like to drink, yeah.
Odd Bin Laden.
And finally, SpongeBob SquarePants is a what? says Kazakhstan.
He's a gay icon.
Is he?
The answer is self-absorbed violent hooligan.
He does cry a lot.
Yeah, but self-absorbed, I mean, that's ridiculous. He's a sponge.
Before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
If we knew we were going to get that for your birthday, we wouldn't have given you the money. It's as simple as that, Reginald.
Is it the handover between the Penguin Olympics and the Penguin Paralympics?
Yeah.
Definitely. That's a lovely jersey.
Thank you very much. And I leave you with news that, after a long drunken night out with friends, William Hague tries to sneak back into the office.
As Prince Charles opens Highgrove to the public, someone draws a penis in the guest book.
At a clinic in Nottingham, one patient is astonished to learn he has a nut allergy.
After admitting in court that his affair with Rebecca Brooks was wrong, a contrite Andy Coulson leaves the Old Bailey with his wife. Good night.